Hello traders, this is Tom Williams from Opteck. Good day to you all, and this is a daily market review for the 27th of August 2013. Today, as you can see on the calendar, we don't have a lot of potential in terms of announcements. We had an announcement regarding the euro, which gave strength to the euro, but actually we saw that the euro reacted differently on some frontiers. For example, in front of the pound, it did not gain a lot of strength, not like it gained in front of the Australian dollar, for example, which is pretty weak in the market, but we will go over that in a second. The German market itself was expressing good announcement. We will see in a second what was the effect on the DAX, the index for the German market. Later on this day, we've got an announcement at 3 p.m. GMT time. We've got an announcement on the US dollar, red announcement. And I'd like to talk a bit about what's going on in the world at the moment. It seems like we're approaching a condition in the Middle East regarding Syria. It seems like the United States, England, all the European Union, we've got a lot of scenarios for the next several days. And I'd like to refer to a situation in the market when war is expressed on the charts. We know that when we've got a condition of war between different countries, we've got a lot of fluent movement in terms of funds changing hands in the world. So, on one hand, we're expecting a lot of traders, a lot of investors to run out of the market because no one wants his funds invested in an asset during a war condition. Let's take a stock, for example. Right now, we've got traders invested in stocks in the United States, and if the United States will decide to begin moving toward Syria, then we will see a lot of investors drawing funds out of the market. So, in terms of stocks or indices, I would definitely look for potential for a downtrend, potential for short position for a put option. That's on one hand. But on the other, I'm expecting to see an enormous movement regardless of announcements. An enormous movement in terms of the forex market, in terms of currencies, because I'm expecting to see a lot of liquidity driven from one end to another as we go along with the current condition. Now, again, we've got a great announcement on the US dollar later on this day at 3 p.m. But still, I'm expecting the dollar to gain strength generally. That's what we saw based on the past that happened. Because when we've got a condition of a potential for war, even without having a war, we've got traders or investors pulling funds out of the market. And when they do that, they usually do that with US dollars. That means that we'll have less amount of dollars in the market, and that means that we're expecting the dollar to gain strength in the market for the next several days or even weeks. It depends on the condition. For how long it will take, for how long we'll see the outcome expressing its movement on the charts. So, general expectation from the market will be at the moment for a dollar gaining strength in the market. I will keep a close eye on that frontier and definitely pay attention to announcements. But again, we don't have to rely on announcements. And just a small word regarding the potential of binary option trading in front of other fields. There's nothing to look for on other fields. Trading the forex market, trading commodities, stocks, everyone is getting out of the market, and binary option traders have the ability to make a lot of profit in the current market situation. Let's go to the market and see what's going on right now. Again, the first thing that I said that I want to go over is the DAX, to see what was the expression of the announcement on the DAX itself. So we can see a very disturbing image that although the German market received a good announcement, We can see that the DAX itself is losing a lot of strength. Let's see what happens on the CAC. The CAC, which is usually correlated with the DAX, is losing strength as well. We've got a nice image of a corrective pattern over here. As I said, I'm always explaining that during the psychology webinar. We've got an impulse movement getting higher, and we've got an A dropping down, a B climbing up, and a C should drop down as well. In terms of length, I'm expecting the CAC 40 to drop down approximately till here. That will be a good area for a target for the CAC 40. In terms of Elliott wave structure, we've got a 1, a 2, a 3 dropping down, a 4 will climb up, and a 5th will drop down toward this area, and then we can start looking for an uptrend on the CAC. If I will take this asset to 15-minute chart, we can see that at the moment we cannot join a continuance of a downtrend. We need to wait for the stochastic to climb back up again, and then we'll be able to catch a strong movement dropping down. So that is a good expectation, and I'm sure that we will be able to see the same image on the DAX. 15-minute chart. Another indication again, once the market will make, right now we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, an A, B, and C is expected to climb up, then the stochastic will climb up as well, and then we'll be able to catch that for a downtrend. I remind you, the DAX and the CAC, the trades on these indices is for a period of several hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, so you can take a very long option on a put option once the market will give you the ability to do that. And here I'd like to talk about the process of the education that we've got here in Opteck. Our goal is to give you enough information so that you'll be able to make the analysis on your own. The daily market briefing that I'm delivering approximately every day will help you to focus on the potential trades according to an outlook of the entire structure on the market. But our goal is to give you the tools to make your own analysis and to be successful with your analysis. Now, I've said that several times before, I will repeat. At the beginning, we're expecting traders to take larger amount of trades for lower amount of investment. If I've got a $1,000 account, I would invest $50, $100 for each trade, which means lower amount for each trade when I'm expecting to take larger amount of trades. But as I'm getting along with my education, as I'm being more professional and more concentrated on specific assets, I can wait for a trade like that for half a day, waiting for the market to bounce higher, waiting for the stochastic to climb with it, and then I'll be able to catch a probability which will allow me to take 3-4 trades a day with having a probability of above 80% of profitable trades. That is our goal. So we begin to trade approximately between 10 to 20 trades a day on lower amounts, and then as we're getting along with the education, we have the ability to trade lower amount of trades for higher amount of investment. That is our goal, and as you can see, I'm giving a larger time frames trade and a better potential. Again, for the beginning, we're expecting you to take larger amount of trades. Let's go to the correlation indication and see who's stronger and who's weaker at the moment. Let me arrange the indication according to the strength and weakness. We can see that generally the Japanese yen is very strong in the market, and all the currencies are dropping down in front of it. You can see that after the Japanese yen, the New Zealand is second in line. After that, the Canadian dollar is lagging behind as well. The Australian dollar is one of the strongest at the moment. Again, not so strong, but still in the stronger group. We've got the euro and pound, which are the weakest. After that, the Swiss franc. And we can see that the dollar itself is again one of the strongest currencies right now. So the dollar is one of the strongest currencies, but the Japanese yen is the strongest. You can see that all the currencies are falling in front of the Japanese yen, and that's a great indication. Look at that, Australian dollar, Japanese yen for a put option. That's a great trade that we've got over here. The only thing that we need to wait for is a cross beyond the trend line that will signal a continuance of this downtrend potential. Another good trade, euro versus Japanese yen. It's already on its way, but again, it looks like an A, a B, and an expectable C climbing up before we will continue lower. That's a good potential trade. The pound versus Japanese yen is continuing lower. You can see the cross, a good indication for a continuance of a downtrend. We can see that generally we've got a very high probability of a continuance of weakness in front of the Japanese yen. So we only have to pick the weakest currencies to express that movement in front of it. Let's proceed to see what we've got later on this day. We've got a very nice image on the commodities, and that's an amazing structure that we've got to talk about that for several minutes. In this case, let me just erase this information. Let's give a large aspect on the silver. Silver and the gold are very correlated one to another because both of them are commodities and both of them reflect the strength and weakness of the Australian dollar and the US dollar in the market. So looking at the larger aspect, we can see that generally the silver dropped down for the last several months. We see a long period of a downtrend, impulse movement dropping down, and at the moment we can see that we've got a structure climbing up. I can say that this is indeed, it looks like an A, a B, and a C climbing higher, and that's a logical area to climb up toward because we've got a third wave dropping down, a fourth wave climbing up, and usually the corrective pattern is climbing toward the fourth area. That's a good area to catch a downtrend for a long-term analysis. But we're not here for taking trades for long-term. We're here to take trades for an accurate entrance point for specific hourly trade, half an hour trade, 15-minute trade, depending on the perspective that we've got at the moment. So we know that the silver and the gold are approaching levels where we should see a divergence, a change in direction on a larger aspect. So at the moment I will keep away from the gold and the silver. I wanted to talk about a specific structure we can see on a 15-minute scale. On a 15-minute scale, we can see a lovely image of a triangle. As you can see, what is a triangle? Triangle, it's bouncing through the same area and concentrating into a very narrowed area over here. Let's first of all place the lines of the triangle. Over here, we can see the top area and the bottom lines of the triangle. Now, let's talk about the meaning of triangles. Triangles, the meaning is that the market is waiting for something to occur. Just to describe the movement that we had over here. Over here we had buyers buying the gold, sellers selling the gold, buyers buying the gold, sellers selling the gold, buying the gold, selling the gold, buying the gold, selling the gold. So you can see that generally we've got a confusion that's being concentrated in specific area. This is a good ingredient, a good recipe for an explosion. At the moment we've got a bounce above the upper line of this triangle. But again, we know that this specific structure is waiting for 3 o'clock for the expression of the US dollar. Once we'll have the expression of the announcement, if the expression will be good for the dollar, then we're expecting to see this chart collapsing, which usually is the appearance of a concentrating triangle. Okay, concentrating triangle may appear on the fourth level or on the fourth wave or the fifth or at the edge of the fifth wave, which will state that this is the end of the entire corrective pattern. We need to wait for the announcement in order for us to trade the gold or the silver. At the moment, I will stay away from them, definitely. We can see that the RSI is not allowing us to participate in a put option. It will allow us to do that once we'll cross the trend line below the entire corrective pattern. Let's see if we've got other potential trades. Over here we've got a consolidation on the non-tradable area. That's a non-tradable asset as well. Although we've got a good potential for climbing up over here, euro versus the Australian dollar. I would definitely pay attention to this asset. Once it'll cross this trend line, we'll have a good potential for an uptrend. Again, the stochastic is at the bottom showing there's a potential for an uptrend. We've got a nice structure of an A, B, and C climb dropping down, and the RSI is at 52 on a 15-minute scale. That is the accurate area that we want the RSI to be in, and if we'll cross this trend line, then we will have a higher RSI that we will acknowledge that the uptrend is the preferable direction in this case. A good trade for the Australian dollar versus the US dollar. Another good trade against the Australian dollar. We've got a nice potential for crossing this trend line, and then again we'll have a good trade dropping down below this area. I remind you, a downtrend on the Australian dollar versus the US dollar is usually an expression for a potential for a put option on the gold and the silver. So I would definitely pay attention to this indication while we'll wait for the announcement to deliver at 3 o'clock. Another good trade coming up right now, Australian dollar Japanese yen for a put option. I've already talked about that several seconds ago. Nice trade we had over here. Nice trade we had over here. Nice trade we had over here. Pound versus the US dollar for a put option. Another indication for a stronger dollar in the market. Again, I'm still expecting to see the announcement, but we already have a good indication over here. We know that, as I said at the beginning, once we have a potential for war, we've got a lot of traders pulling funds out of the market in terms of dollars. We've got use for dollars, and this is why we've got a stronger dollar in the market. That's very logical, even without having the announcement on that. Euro versus the US dollar, another expression for a stronger dollar in the market. Very logical in terms of elite wave analysis. A 1, a 2, a 3 strong movement down, a 4 climbing up, and a 5th dropping down. Stochastic at the top, RSI at the bottom. A good indication for a continuance of a downtrend. A great trade we had over here. Another good indication, dollar Japanese yen. Again, even though the dollar is getting strength in the market, the Japanese yen is getting more strength in the market. And we can see that the Japanese yen is getting more strength even in front of the US dollar. And basically that is it. We went over several trades. We saw several potentials for long-term investment and short-term investment. We see our expectation from the market because of the announcements on the upcoming problematic situation. I don't want to call it a war, but a problematic situation in Syria. We know how it should express movement on the charts. I would definitely use these days to make a lot of profit in the market. We know the expectation. I wish you all the best with your trades and have a nice day. Bye-bye.